it's Nicole Bonner with Thrive Chiropractic Coaching and Dr. Colton O'Brien, and we are back for, I think this is our 10th episode of our podcast season, Colton.
Well, look at us go.
I know, man. Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
That's the truth.
Speaking about having fun, how was your Holy Week this week so far?
Oh man, Holy Week is amazing. It started in a fantastic way. Like I mentioned on last week's podcast, my wife, my mom, my brother-in-law all got baptized. So Sunday was, man, just so much peace and just joy and just Thanksgiving really. And it just really led us into an awesome week. So this week has been nothing but just like recognition and praise for me. So I've really been trying to keep my attention off of me and what's going on in my life and look towards Jesus and just be in a state of gratitude and thanksgiving and just honoring and praise, I guess would be the right word.
Awesome. You know, that reminds me of a book that I read. Have you ever read the book If You Want to Walk on Water, You Have to Get Out of the Boat by John Ortberg?
No, but I can sense where it's going.
That is such a great book. I highly recommend everybody really to read it. I read it multiple times and it's been just transformational. Well, it's so funny. Weren't we talking about this last week? Like didn't I ask you what are your top 3 books that have been transformational in your life?
We talked about that recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was it's just been transformational in my life. And I read it probably for the first time, maybe almost 20 years ago. And then I read it a few times over the years. And it's funny because every time that I read it, I extrapolate something different out of it. But it essentially what you just said, it's and that's funny because in Thrive this week, that was our whole theme of the week is where's your focus, right? So it's all about keeping your focus on God, keeping your focus on the big picture, and trying not to really put too much attention and energy on all the minute details and tasks that you have to do, but just keeping your eye on the big picture for sure.
Absolutely. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. And I think that especially this time of year, it's such a reminder when we head into the spring of really, where is our focus? Why do we do what we do? Why did God put us here at this time in this time in history, in this moment? Doing what we do as chiropractors, where do we fit in all of that?
Yeah, I mean, truly, it is such a blessing to get up and serve. Like I was just thinking this morning, I'm awake, I'm alive. It truly, it's something that we can't take for granted. But man, one, being a chiropractor is such a blessing. But two, being the hands and feet of God to be able to help His children to restore life flow back to people is the most special gift ever. And this week it's like there's breakthroughs every week or just realizations every week. I remember starting in chiropractic school and delivering that adjustment. And I hope this comes out right. Because I'll just say it and then I'll refine it if I need to. But I remember just thinking at every adjustment, my conscious awareness was always on man, this person has an intelligence that is going to receive this force. And whenever I deliver this force, it's going to be at the perfect place, at the perfect time, just what this person needs, just with the most dialed in intention ever. And I noticed as I got later in school, as I got better at adjusting and being in practice and all this other stuff going on in my head, I don't dissociate. I don't not do that because I'm still aware, I'm still there and I'm not going through the motions. But this week I had just I had to come back to myself because there was this person that was really, they were needing something today. And I just I got into this zone that I felt I really haven't been in since I was fresh in chiropractic. And it's transformed the way that I've been adjusting this week. And it's just I'm taking all my attention off of everything else. And when it's time to just get in that moment to deliver the perfect force for the perfect person, and I'm the right person to do that. It's just harmony. Like everything is in harmony, and whenever that force is received by their intelligence, it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's kind of the shift, the wake up, the awareness that I'm kind of living in right now. And it's cool. It was kind of a gut check. It's like, hey, Colton, when did you stop bringing this level of intention? But to clarify, I still like, man, like I love my people, and every time I step to the table, like it's here, but there's more. And so I'm stepping into more right now.
All right, Colton, I love that you shared that. And Jim Parker, right? Jim Parker used to call that the adjustment with something extra special. Did you get that at Parker? Did you get that principle?
I didn't get that extra. I never heard that before, but I love that because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, Jim Parker used to call it an adjustment with that extra something special. And that's really fascinating. And I'm going to take our call today, our talk today, in a totally different direction than I had anticipated. But I think that it's important for the profession, and it's about to get wild. Are you ready, Colton?
I'm here for it.
Okay. There are chiropractors out there that may be watching this podcast, and I hope they're watching this podcast. And they truly believe that there's no difference between a just manipulation of moving the bone and a specific chiropractic adjustment with philosophy and intention behind it. So what you're sharing with us right now is a very specific chiropractic adjustment with philosophy and intention behind it. And you could feel the difference between those two things, right?
100%. Without a doubt.
So for the people who might be watching this saying like, oh, this is all bullshit, like there's no difference, can you explain what you feel? This is a tough question, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, because we don't rehearse this, guys. This is just Colton and I get up and we shoot the shit for you guys. But can you explain what you feel in your body when you're delivering an adjustment over here versus just like giving a random manipulation over here? Do you understand what I'm asking?
No, I 100% understand what you're asking. And I don't know, my first like initial thought to the people that think that is just like, man, it's like, it's a little bit of one of like sadness. Like really, it's just like, man, like I think one of the reasons that I do that is because I've experienced it. Like I feel like experience is one of the most powerful teachers. Like you can talk and talk and talk all day, but until you've really grasped that something that we all talk about, then it can fall on deaf ears. But I have received amazing adjustments with the most pure intent at the correct place that people knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were adjusting here for a specific reason, at a specific degree, at a specific angle to make the correction. And it did. And I was better off for it. And then I've also been adjusted by people that's just like, let me bolster my ego and hear this bone make a sound as loud as it can, and when it feels different and the intention behind it is totally different. And I'm not perfect. I've gotten, we've been in like student flows or something like that where my ego gets the best of me and my attention goes off of the person on the table and then onto like, hey, look at me. I'm so great at this or I'm so great at that. And the adjustment is different. But this is even more than just the adjustment. This is everything in life. Everything in life is dependent on your level of intent. So, but to speak specifically to your question, one, I look at the words manipulation and adjustment. Like no one wants to be manipulated. Just the words carry weight in and of itself. Like that's forcing something to be somewhere. And an adjustment is like guiding something to the correct place. So it's not done by force. It's done by guidance, I guess, is working with the body rather than opposing it. is the first thing. So my intention is never to overpower or overcome the body, but rather to work with the body to correct the subluxation. Mm-hmm. And then two, if I think it's just going to affect the bone and maybe have some positive localized effects, then that's probably what's going to happen. But if my focus is on the nervous system, and if I have the objective measures that really show me where that subluxation is, I know without a doubt when that's removed, better nervous system function is going to take place. How can I doubt that? That's an adjustment whenever I deliver that. I don't know if I'm explaining this the right way, but that's what's right for me, is like I adjust when I know something needs to be adjusted, not whenever I feel just one bulky spot of a lack of mobility, or someone says, "Hey doc, I'm hurting right here," Mm-hmm. So it's all about the objective for me. What's the objective? Is the objective to move a joint, or is the objective to remove subluxation? Mm-hmm. And is the objective for a bone to make a sound, or is the objective to take pressure off that nerve so the nervous system is functioning and flowing fully?
Yeah, so I think it's important that we define, because there could be people in the audience that don't see a difference between those two. And I know that's very hard for you and I to understand, but it exists. So, I think it's very important that we define what really, a subluxation is not just a bone out of place. A subluxation is a bone out of place that's interfering with innate intelligence. Mm-hmm. If you guys don't like the word innate intelligence, nerve signals. Like if you want to be more scientific and have more scientific vocabulary, either one is fine. But we have data that shows that subluxation decreases the velocity of the nerve impulse as it travels through the spinal cord. Right? We have that data. We've collected data on it. So that's the first thing. But then I also think there's also a very spiritual connection when you give a real adjustment. And what I mean by a real adjustment is an adjustment where you are releasing nerve interference, where you're releasing innate intelligence in the body, right? And when I give an adjustment, Colton, because I know you had mentioned, you were talking about what it feels like from a patient's perspective. So from a patient's perspective, we can certainly feel the difference from when we're being manipulated to, being adjusted. If you guys have I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience. I I graduated from Seton Hall University, and I graduated from, I was top of my class in the pre-med department. And so most of my friends became medical doctors, and the ones that couldn't get into medical school, well, they went to become osteopaths. And osteopaths, now that was a great profession that got swallowed up by the medical profession, because if you go to an osteopath now, you won't even know the difference. You won't even know he or she's an osteopath, because they just prescribe medicine. They just prescribe drugs. They don't even do spinal manipulation anymore. But 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was in undergrad, oh shit, that sounds so old. When I was in undergrad, I had a good friend when he couldn't get into medical school, went to osteopathic school. Super bright guy, super intelligent, super bright. Just at the time, it just so happened that the way that the world was going, there were very limited seats in medical schools. And so he became an osteopath, and he was like, and he knew I wanted to become a chiropractor. And he was like, let me give you an adjustment. Let me adjust your spine. And I let him. And it was like the worst, it was like the worst manipulation and experience that I ever had in my whole life. And I was like, dude, you really need to just stick with prescribing drugs, because you can't move bones very well. So what's my point? My point is that we certainly, as a patient, we can feel the difference between a manipulation and an adjustment, but also as a doctor, as the deliverer of the adjustment, we can feel the difference, because I don't know about you, but I know the times where like, if I'm not totally on, or I'm not totally present, and I'm not connecting innate to innate with my patient, there is a definite difference in my adjustment from one to another. And there have been times where I've been totally on, totally present, totally connected, totally just connected innate to innate, and I just lay my hands on a patient, and cavitations start happening. I don't even thrust, right? And things start moving, and patients are like, wow, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I don't think I did it. I think that was a God thing. But but that's the difference. And I guess my sadness comes from chiropractors who are, and I'm going to say this, and if half of you, if you might get mad and turn this podcast off right now, but you're not a chiropractor unless you're delivering an adjustment. And that that's not, once again, that's not just a manipulation of the spine. It's not movement of bone. It's restoration of nerve flow. It's restoration of innate intelligence to the body. And so I guess I'll leave it at that. Maybe we should move on, because this is a good conversation though, right?
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's a necessary conversation, and yeah, it needs to be talked about. I mean, we're chiropractors, and so our job is to adjust the spine for subluxation, and if we're not doing that, we're not doing chiropractic. And I think it's that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. You know what, Colton? One of the things I love so much about you
What's that?
is you're just so clear. Like, you're just so clear about like who you are and what you do, and you're just like, yeah, it's like that easy. And you're right, it is that easy. So
When I try and get too complex, I get into like a wormhole, and then I start not making sense. So I use the KISS method in most scenarios.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of that simple, you have been in practice, I think now 5 weeks or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it's about that.
And
Yesterday,
yeah.
I was just saying, yeah, I started on the 6th, and yesterday was the 6th. So it's been like a month in like months, but I think about 5 weeks.
Yeah, man. And you make it look so freaking simple.
Maybe, I don't know.
Talk to us. How did this week go? I know when you first started, your first week, we did a bunch of promotion before you even opened your doors. So you had a bunch of new patients your first week of practice. And then you were really busy. Like, you were really busy taking care of patients, and adjusting and seeing new patients. And then with being busy taking care of patients, we had like this like lag in PR, if you want to call it PR, right? So we had this lag in PR. And so we had a little bit of a lag in new patients for a week or two there. And it was like, you had to find your mojo. You had to find your balance of being Dr. Colton, which is taking care of people, and also being entrepreneur Colton, which is continuing to have new patients come in and having a thriving business, right? And
Absolutely.
so now you're like kind of in that 4th, 5th, 6th week, and you're getting your balance, you're getting your mojo, huh?
Yeah, it's like things are starting to stack, and momentum is starting to build. So it's like I just, seeds I planted about a month ago are starting to sprout. So I know I have such a long way to go, and like the last thing I ever want to do on this podcast is portray like I got it all together, because there's moments of the days where I'm like, I'm rocking this, and there's other parts of the day where I have my hands on my head, like, what am I doing? But in the end, like I'm full of trust, and I know that the Lord put me here to do this. So I feel like there's nothing better than being on that table and being with a person that is seeking your care, and so that really keeps me going. And then I just try and keep my mind in a positive place at other times. But it is going good. To answer your question, this week was awesome. I think I PR'd like in patient visits and new patients this week, so that was cool.
Wait, how many new patients did you see this week?
So it was so at the beginning of the week I had 8 for this week, which was awesome. I had 2 yesterday, no call, no show. And then I had a guy cancel today because of Good Friday, which I totally understand and respect. But then like some random ones popped up throughout the week. So this is bad podcasting too.
Folks, as he is looking live. We're watching this live, folks.
Yeah,
He's looking live at his stats for the week.
I had 6 new patients, which was good.
Great.
And then around 22 visits. So that's week 5 for you right now. So getting there. Got a lot of work to do, and really looking to convert on all these. I had one not convert on Tuesday, and I got really down. Like it was the last person of the day. I delivered it, and like it was hard because it was one of those moments where you're like, man, like I felt like I don't know if this happens to a lot of other docs, but like I wanted it more than them. Like I wanted them to be well so bad. Like I'm like, I know this is the perfect thing for you. Like I know your life will change. Like, and like without going into too much detail, like I pretty much just toggled this patient, and because there was so much to do, but I'm like, I'm starting here, and we're gonna see how you respond. Like, I don't want to do too much. And first thing they said was like, man, like I feel like a fire hydrant. It just like set off in my head, and like they got off the table looking more vibrant than I've seen them in the past. And like she's like, I feel like energy in my toes that I've never felt before. And like you just tell like it like that atlas was corrected, and she was, I don't know, it was pretty special. And so after that I was like, oh yeah, she's gotta convert. And then she kind of had a little sticker shock. So still praying that person comes back, and really hoping the best for them. But it was hard. It was really hard that night. I couldn't get it out of my head. Like, what could I have done better? Where did I not communicate the value? Where did I not build the value for them? Which was hard because I have a tendency to blame myself. Like, I don't want to, if I don't convert, I don't want to be like, oh, just, it was them. Like I gotta look at myself and be like, what could I have done better? But yeah, so that was an experience this week. That was a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay.
Yeah. So, great learning. That's a great learning opportunity, right? So Colton, why don't you write this down, and on our Tuesday coaching call, why don't we go through the whole scenario so that we can find out where we lost the patient. Because what it is like, if you think of taking a patient through the day 1 and day 2, it's kind of like taking them hand in hand and walking them through this journey, and a transformation. And so in chiropractic, we think mostly of the physical transformation, but before they can have a physical transformation, they have to have a mindset transformation. If they don't have the mindset transformation, they're not going to get to the physical transformation. So on our coaching call on Tuesday, because I don't want to take up too much of our time on our podcast, although it'd be a really great thing to dive into, but I think it would just take too much time. Let's really talk about that mindset journey that the patient has to take in order to get into an empowered state to make that buying decision. All right, so let's do that on Tuesday for sure, and we'll use this as a learning experience for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool to see you guys in at this place, because it's like all you guys are like now calling me kind of off coaching hours. I just talked with another, I'm not going to say who on this podcast, but you know who, another student of ours of Thrive's, and just working through scenarios with her that she also had this week. So everybody goes through that, and shoot, I'm in how many years of practice? 23 years of practice, and I had all kinds of higher level communication courses, NLP, Tony Robbins, elite chiropractic coaching. And I don't, of course, I don't convert everybody. Nobody converts 100% of the people 100% of the time, so love on yourself, know that you did the best for this patient with the tools that you have, and then say, all right, Lord, open the doors for me to learn, to find out where to get more tools.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just,
or just call me.
Gotcha. I can do that.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And so what else? Like, what else are you having fun with? Like, what are some other wins in your practice this week that wasn't like maybe a statistic, like something besides a statistic?
That aha, that breakthrough that I talked about was just like the level of intention when I'm speaking is awesome. In my networking group, one of the members is a patient of mine, and he's done it before, like giving testimonials, and like usually you just do one and it's over. And he like stood up and he's like, guys, like I know I sound like a broken record today, but like y'all have to get into see Dr. O'Brien, because like he's changed my life, and I'm not even halfway through my care plan yet. And I was just like, that's super cool to hear. And it just, little stuff like that is awesome. And then I had the opportunity to help sponsor a networking event on Monday, and it was like 70 people there. And I didn't think I was getting anything other than like my logo on the wall, which is still fantastic and just for brand awareness and exposure. But I got to get up on stage and speak in front of a full room. And then I think 3 people came up to me after that and wanted to schedule. So that was cool. Unexpected, because all my people have really come from like screenings at the moment. So it's really cool for when people like sought me out. So, and then I'm working on optimizing my Google search and stuff like that. And then, yeah, continuing to just plant seeds. I had an awesome connection this week. I just followed up with someone I talked to a while back, and they're like, yeah, I don't think so right now, but like in the future, maybe, and then hung up. And then they call me back right away, and they're like, hey, my wife just heard me say that. She said, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And I was like, sounds like a good woman. So they're coming in next week. So that was cool. It's just continuing to all the docs out there that are struggling, or just like planting seeds and not seeing any fruit or any growth from it yet. Just know that it's coming, because that's what I have to keep telling myself, and I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to gain momentum, and yeah, keep the main thing the main thing. Like keep your why at the forefront of your mind, and remember why you're doing it, and know that like you don't got to be a rock star from day one. Like you already are a rock star. Just keep pushing, keep playing, keep enjoying. Yeah, it's all working out. And like this Holy Week, like you said in the beginning, is an awesome reflection, just to like remember like why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like this is nothing. Like this really is nothing, and it's for nothing if I don't keep the main thing, which is just God at the forefront and just being a servant. I've always had enough. I will always have enough. I always am enough. And I can't get too far ahead. I just got to continue to be me every day and show up with the purest intention, just like we do when we adjust, because everything is related to your level of intention. So yeah, my message this week is keep the main thing the main thing.
I love that. That's an amazing message. And you know what, Colton? I think we're right around a half hour already. So I think we should end on that. Keep the main thing the main thing. What do you think?
That's right. And I'm going to keep reminding myself too, because just like everybody, I slip, but we slip, we check, and we get adjusted. So
amen, brother. Amen. All right, guys, we are going to close out. I think what is our 10th episode together. And Colton, you keep rocking it, keep saving lives, keep planting seeds. And before you know it, your garden is going to be so full, you're going to have to, well, I could probably increase the size of your garden.
Yeah, we'll have to do that for sure.
All right, man. Have a blessed weekend, and then we'll see all you guys next week.
Cool. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.